Hello friends, we will continue with our discussion on the chapter of retirement of a partner. Right? So we were discussing when one of the partner of the firm leaves. He leaves the partnership firm and the remaining partners continue to do the business. Right? And in that we have discussed few topics, that is the calculation of new profit sharing ratio. The new profit sharing ratio will be between the remaining partners who continue to do the business. Then we discussed about gaining ratio. Gaining ratio means the ratio in which the remaining partners are going to get the share of the retiring partner. What is a gaining ratio? The ratio in which the remaining partners of the partnership firm are going to acquire the share of the retiring partner. Then we discussed about the treatment of goodwill. Right? How we will treat the goodwill in case of retirement of a partner. Now in this lecture we are going to start with a new topic, that is revaluation of assets and liabilities. Right? This topic we are studying from the last two chapters, that is change in profit sharing ratio. There also we studied this topic. In the admission of a partner, there again we studied this topic of revaluation of assets and liabilities. This is a very important topic, but if you have done this topic in the previous two chapters, it is very easy to understand. The first of all, what is revaluation? What is revaluation? Right? We break it into two parts. I will say valuing our assets and liabilities again. Right? We are putting the new values to our assets and liabilities that are appearing in our books. There are some assets, there are some liabilities that are already appearing in the balance sheet. But now we want to give them the new values. New values means we will see what is their market value on a particular date. Which date? Again means when we are going to value this assets and liabilities on the date of retirement of a partner. Right? On the date when your partner retires, you will say we will revalue our assets and liabilities. We will see that if we go in the market, what is the value of our assets and what are the liabilities. Right? There are the assets and liabilities appearing in our books in the balance sheet of a firm, but on the date of retirement of the partner, we will revalue our assets and liabilities. Now the question is, why to revalue these assets and liabilities? The question is, why to revalue? Right? A very simple answer. In the admission of a partner also, I told you why we revalue our assets and liabilities. Right? There I told you why we revalue, because if there is any profit or loss on the revaluation of asset and liabilities, that profit or loss belongs to the old partners in the old ratio. I told you that any profit any profit or loss that belongs to a period where there were only the old partners, then that profit or loss belongs to the old partners in old ratio. Now, in the retirement, who are the old partners? If I say there are three partners, A, B and C. This C partner retires. But who are the old partners? Who are the old partners? Old partners are A, B and C. Who are the new partners? New partners are only A and B. So why we revalue the assets and liabilities? To ascertain any profit or loss on the revaluation of assets and liabilities. Why we revalue? Because any profit or loss on revaluation of assets and liabilities belongs to whom? Belongs to old partners in old ratio. Right? So who are the old partners? If there is a profit on revaluation in case of retirement, if we say we have a profit on revaluation, now this profit belongs to whom? Old partners. Old partner means including the retiring partner. So this profit will be divided between A, B and C in which ratio? In old ratio. Clear? So any profit or loss on revaluation of assets and liabilities belongs to old partners in old ratio. This is a very simple logic that any profit, any loss that belongs to a period before the change in the partnership. Change in partnership means whether it is admission or retirement. So any profit or loss that belongs to a period before there is a change in the partnership, that belongs to the old partners in old ratio. Right? So very simple thing. For this, we will prepare revaluation account. I will not elaborate much here, friends. For this, you must go through the previous two chapters, that is change in profit sharing ratio and admission. We have done elaborated topic there. Here I will not elaborate. Okay, I have told you the basic thing, that any profit or loss on the revaluation belongs to old partners in old ratio. Here the old partner means all the partners including the retiring partner, because he was a part of that period when that profit or loss on the revaluation belongs to. Clear? So this profit or loss on revaluation belongs to all the partners including the new partner. For that we will prepare the revaluation account as we usually do in this topic. Please go through chapter number 3, change in profit sharing ratio, or chapter number 4, that is admission of a partner. Right? There we have done the practical problems also. So I am not covering here. This is absolutely same. You know how to prepare revaluation account. You know how to record increase in assets. You know how to record increase in liabilities, decrease in asset, decrease in liabilities, and you know how to get the profit or loss. Clear, friends? Now, there is one more topic, that is memorandum revaluation account. Now, if you have gone through chapter 3 and chapter 4 lectures, you will know why we prepare memorandum revaluation account. Why? Because the new partners decide. Why we prepare this memorandum revaluation account? In case when the new partner means after the retirement of one partner, the remaining partners who are going to continue the business, the new partners decide that assets and liabilities will continue to appear in books at old values. Now, we are saying that in case of revaluation of assets and liabilities, we give the new values to the assets and the liabilities, right? And those assets and liabilities appear in the balance sheet at new values. But there is a case when the new partners, that is the remaining partners, they decide that assets and liabilities will continue to appear in the books at old values only. We will give effect to the profit and loss or revaluation, but we will not affect the values of the assets and liabilities. Clear? So for that, what we do is, I will just tell you the steps. You can go through chapter 3 and chapter 4 again, right? Go through those lectures. Here I will tell you the steps. So step 1, prepare revaluation account, right? First of all, prepare the revaluation account as usual, right? Like normally you prepare the revaluation account in that way only, right? Step 2, any profit or loss on revaluation distribute among whom? Just I told you, any profit or loss on the revaluation of assets and liabilities that belongs to old partners in old ratio. Distribute among old partners in old ratio. Clear? So the first two steps are very simple, right? First of all, prepare the revaluation account, then any profit or loss on revaluation distribute among the partners in old ratio. Clear, friends? Step 3. Step 3 is reverse the entries of revaluation account. What do you mean by this? Reverse means where a debit was given to the asset, in this we will give the credit to the asset. We will just reverse the entries. If we say there was an increase in the plant, the entry would be plant to revaluation account. But if you are preparing the memorandum revaluation account, first you will place the entry as plant to revaluation account, then you will say the revaluation account to plant, or I can say memorandum revaluation account. Clear? Reverse the entries of revaluation. Step 4. Reverse the entries means the debit will become credit and the credit will become debit. Now, after reversing, you will get a profit or a loss. Right? What to do with that profit or loss? This profit and loss you will distribute among new partners. This is the main point here, that in case of memorandum revaluation account, after the reversal of entries, whatever profit or loss you will get will distribute among the new partners in new profit sharing ratio. Why? Because we have given the credit to the old partner what he deserves. Here, when we get a profit or loss on the revaluation in step 2, we give credit to the old partner. Right? We give credit to the old partner. Now, the new partners have decided to keep the old book values in the books. So, we have given the credit to the old partner. We will not take back that credit from the old partner, because the decision is taken by new partners, not the old partner. Old partner deserves his share of profit out of the revaluation of assets and liabilities, and that we have given in the step 2. So in the step 4, whatever there is a profit or loss on the reversal of revaluation entries, that will be borne by the new partners in the new profit sharing ratio, because it was the decision of the new partners to show the assets and liabilities at their old values. Right? Old partner deserves his share. He gets his share at step 2 only. Right? So in the step 4, any profit or loss on the reversal of the entries of the revaluation account while preparing the memorandum revaluation account, that profit or loss will be distributed among the new partners in new profit sharing ratio. Be careful with this. Be very, very, very careful with this. Clear? Now, I am going to discuss a small point with you regarding the debtors. Right? Suppose in the balance sheet, here you are given the debtors as 16,000, say. Right? And you have a provision for doubtful debts, 800. So what are the remaining debtors? 15,200. You are given in the additional information that there are bad debts of rupees 1100. And it is further given that provision for doubtful debts is to be maintained. Right? That means we have to create the provision for doubtful debts also, and we have a bad debts of 1100. In this situation, what to do? Right? First of all, always adjust the bad debts. Adjust bad debts. Clear? How you are going to adjust? You can see there is already a provision of 800 in the balance sheet. So we will use this 800 to adjust the bad debts of 1100 first. What are the remaining bad debts? What are the total bad debts? 1100. Provision already created 800. What are the remaining bad debts? 300. Clear? So, what are the remaining bad debts? 300. Bad debt means there is an decrease in the asset, and if you look at the revaluation account, if you prepare the revaluation account, these bad debts of 300 will appear here. There is a decrease in the asset, and if there is a decrease in the asset, that asset will be credited and the revaluation account will be debited. So bad debts of 300. Why 300? Because we have adjusted already created provision of 800, and the remaining bad debts of 300 we will write in the revaluation account on the debit side. Clear? Now, the second thing they say is provision for doubtful debts is to be maintained at the existing rate. At existing rate. What is the existing rate? 800 divided by 16,000 multiplied by 100, 5%. This is, what is the existing rate as? 5%. That means we have to create a provision of 5% on the debtors. Now the question is, what are our debtors? On which amount we are going to create the new provision? There were debtors of 16,000. Out of that, 1,100 are the bad debts now, non-recoverable debts. So what are the remaining debtors? Can you tell me? What are the remaining debtor, friends? 16,000 are the original debtors. Out of this, 1,100. Out of this, 1,100 is bad debt. So what are the remaining debtors left with us? Rupees 14,900. And on this 14,900, we will create new provision. Provision for doubtful debts. This will be 14,900 multiplied by existing rate 5%. This comes to rupees 745. And this provision will also appear in the revaluation account. Provision for doubtful debts 745. Clear? So this was one important point, that in case you are given the bad debts, first adjust the bad debts, and then on the remaining amount of debtors you have to create the new provision. That means the new provision will be created on the debtors less bad debts. Clear? Because 1,100 is already bad. Why to create provision on that? We know that 1,100 we are not going to get. Clear? So this is all about revaluation of assets and liabilities. We talked about the memorandum revaluation account. First, the revaluation account, that any profit or loss on the revaluation is to be distributed among old partners in old ratio. Then the memorandum revaluation account, that the new partners decide that the asset and liabilities will appear in the balance sheet at old values. Then we discussed about one point, debtors, that if the bad debts are given, then first adjust the bad debts, and then on the remaining amount of debtors you have to calculate the provision, new provision. Clear? So that's all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to start with new topic, that is reserves and surplus. Treatment of reserves and surplus in case of retirement of a partner. This topic also we have covered from the last two chapters, that is change in profit sharing ratio and admission of a partner. But we will discuss in short here also. Right? Thank you, friend.